Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, good evening, Facebook family. Welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. Tonight's episode, we're going to talk about how to deal with teens who run away. And this question actually came from one of our posties and one of our audience members who is trying to support some family members. So I told her I would be more than happy to share the Big Papa perspective on teens who run away. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in tonight. What is a particular, why this resonates with me is because I had my adopted son. We adopted him when he was 15 years old. He came to live in our group home. Hello, mother. Hello, Kirsten. He came to live with us in our group home after basically blowing out of every other placement in Virginia. They didn't have anywhere else to put him. His social worker actually followed me around for years. Every time I'd come through Virginia and I'd do a lecture, she would come ask me if I had a place for Kevin. Do you have a place for Kevin? That probably happened 3 years in a row. And finally, when I decided to be in Virginia and create our group homes there, I said, actually, I do. Diane, her name is Diane Mitchell, Catholic Charities in Richmond, Virginia. I think Diane's probably retired by now. So she placed Kevin with us, and Kevin was a known runaway. He had ran away for up to 2 days at a time, and he had ran away frequently. And at this point in time, he was coming to us from a residential treatment center. Now, you have to understand that in our group home, we did not lock the doors, and we didn't do consequences. We didn't do behavior modification. We didn't do any of that stuff. Kevin also came to us with a prescription for Ensure because he was very skinny because he wouldn't eat. So as I'm thinking about the question that was asked, and I've had this come up many, many, many times, the first thing that I want to ask to the parents to consider is, what is your child running away from? What is it in the home that feels so threatening and overwhelming to him that he needs to run away? See, we tend to think that teens run away because they are defiant and out of control, or they just want to try to be in control of their own lives. And then there are all different kind of ways that we could look at that. But what if you ask yourself, what is so threatening and overwhelming in our home that he wants to run away from it? So that's question number one. So when Kevin first came to our home, one of the first things we did, and I remember this, I said, so you don't eat? Well, let's go get in the truck. Let's go down to the grocery store. And he didn't talk. I mean, he was very quiet, didn't talk. And Kevin we went down to the local grocery store, and I said, okay, well, pick out what you like to eat. Because in my mind, the only reason the kid's not eating is because he's not getting what he likes to eat. And Kevin is probably would be considered failure to thrive, would have been considered failure to thrive. And he would go days without eating. I mean, literally just, we call it fasting. I call it fasting for me, but for him, it's just not eating. Kind of like on a hunger strike. And he didn't like the Ensure anyway. And so I took him to the grocery store, and I know this is kind of a long story to get back to running away, but I want you to understand the framework and the perspective. I took Kevin to the grocery store, and I said, what do you want to eat? And he picked out eggs, he picked out corn tortillas, bacon, avocados, and queso, Mexican cheese. And Kevin ate Mexican cheese, avocados, bacon, corn tortillas, and eggs every day, sometimes twice a day, for the next 6 months. And he started out wanting to cook it himself. After about 3 months of cooking it himself, he decided it was time to let the staff or myself or Christy cook for him. So we started cooking for him, and occasionally he'd cook his own food. You know, it's whatever he wanted to do, fundamentally. And we never had an issue, not one issue, with Kevin not eating, not one issue. And in time, after about 6 months, he began experimenting just on his own accord. He'd eat, he started eating pizza, he started eating fish, he started eating McDonald's, cheeseburgers, Big Macs. He started eating everything. He was famished, and he would eat everything. And so we started a school. I started a school called the Post Academy. I've talked about it every now and then. And Kevin was the first child up in the morning, and he would walk himself about 4 or 5 blocks to school. And this is a kid, I just said, this is a kid who was known for running away. We didn't have locked doors. I mean, yeah, we locked the doors at night, but he could have easily turned the lock and been gone. He would get up first thing in the morning, and he'd be at the school at 7:30, and he would do it every day. There was no issues. He loved being at school. He'd walk himself to school. He'd walk himself home. After about, I don't even know how long the school was open, less than a year, we had to close the school. And the school was really fundamentally for our kids in our group home and our kids in our treatment home. We didn't have anywhere else to send Kevin or any of the other kids, and so they went to a local residential day treatment program, which was connected to a residential treatment center. And one of the things about the day treatment program, as soon as you walk in the door, a big metal door slams. Bam! Just like you're going into jail. Kevin did not like it. He was threatened by it. He was overwhelmed. He went from getting up at 7 in the morning and being the first kid at school at 7:30 to being completely resistant to going to school. Did not want to go. He would sleep. He wouldn't get up. And I remember one day I said to Kevin, because I was frustrated and I had to get the other boys to school, I said, you're going to get up and you're not going to lay in this bed and sleep while I'm gone. If you want to stay here, you can sit on the front porch. But sit on the front porch, I'm going to take these boys to school. And I did this. And again, this is a kid who runs away, right? Does that sound the least bit logical to you? No, of course it doesn't. Well, what did I know about Kevin? I knew we had a relationship with Kevin. Was I afraid for Kevin to run away? I was not. I wasn't afraid of Kevin running away because I had a relationship with Kevin. Now, maybe he would have went around the block or maybe he would have went down the street, but he'd have been back because I had a relationship with him. Probably for the first time in his life, the kid felt loved. He truly felt loved. He truly felt secure and nurtured, taken care of, and he knew we had his back. So I leave him. I take the other 5 boys. I left him sitting on the steps of the group home, went across town, dropped the other boys off. I came back. Kevin wasn't there. Well, didn't get really worried because I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about him running away because I know, and even kids who are known to run away, and we had another young man in our group home program who was known for running away. I never looked at it as running away. I looked at it as leaving, and he would come back. Leaving without permission, he would come back. And so that's the way it was always set up. But fundamentally, there was never a threat. There was never a threat imposed that would make that child, remember, the amygdala has 3 reactions: fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. Freeze is always our initial reaction, and then we determine to fight or to flee. So if a child is running away, that is flight behavior. That means they are scared. And in their fear, they are running. Now you got to understand that in their fear of running, they're oftentimes running to a group of peers who make them feel loved, who make them feel understood, and make them feel accepted. So when you set up a dynamic in the home where you lose relationship with your child and your child starts to run away because of their fear, it's not going to take long before they find other children in similar situations who make them feel understood, loved, and accepted. Now you really got a big problem on your hand, right? Because not only are they not feeling connected in the home, but they're feeling a greater connection outside of the home. And what we usually do as parents is we get even more scared, we get more controlling, we get more overpowering, and we try to force the child to stay home, or we shame the child, or we punish the child when the child is home. And guess what that does? The very reverse of what you want. It just stresses them out even more, makes them feel more overwhelmed, and guess what they start thinking? Running away again just as soon as they can. There's no amount of punishment that's going to make a child who runs away stay home, because 9 times out of 10, that's what they're trying to avoid to begin with. And then they find love, understanding, and acceptance in a peer group. They're not adults, they're peers. So essentially, you're creating a greater risk by creating so much stress and overwhelm in your home that your child has to run away, because now they're going to end up with peers who are just as stressed out as they are, and Stressed out children do stressed out things. So, and remember, stressed out children who do stressed out things are also regressed children. So now you got a peer group who's probably like a group of 5-year-olds out running the streets, doing whatever they do. So I came home that day. Kevin was gone. I didn't worry about it. I looked around and I realized there was a window that had been opened in the kitchen. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I walk upstairs and guess who's in his room on his floor where he was prone to sleeping? Kevin. Kevin had not ran away. Kevin had not broken out of the home. Kevin had broken into the home. Into the home. What does that tell you? That is the complete reverse of what children typically do. So if there's something in the home, there's some dynamic in the home that has a greater attraction and a greater appeal to this child than anything outside of the home. And now here's your question, and here's the challenge. Can you overcome your own stress and fear enough to help your child begin to feel secure and stable and accepted enough in the home that they don't need to run away? That's a big question. What 10 things, I'm going to give you 10, usually I say 3. What 10 things could you begin doing tonight with, for, and towards your child that would make them feel more loved, more accepted, and more understood within the home and start to gain some balance over what's outside of the home? So that's like your third big challenge. Number 3, the second big challenge. Number 3 is in the instances that your child, so here's what I like to set. I like to set up this dynamic with parents and with their teens. Teens getting ready to leave. Say you've had an argument. Teen's going to leave. You don't want the teen to leave. But what you have to understand, and also what the parents who this is directed to have to understand, because their child's 16 years old, is he's 2 years away from being an adult. No amount of control is going to keep him locked in your house. So you are at a crossroads right now. You're at a crossroads. Preferably you start much younger, investing in relationship and working on your ability to influence your child instead of controlling your child. But you still have lots of hope. There's still lots of possibilities. But when he's triggered and he's about to run away, he's about to leave the home, instead of telling him not to leave, here's what I want you to say. I want you to get his attention. I want you to say, son, I love you. It scares me when you run away and we don't know where you are. I'd really like for you to stay. We don't have to talk about this anymore, or we can talk about it when we're all feeling better. But I understand you are 16 years old and you feel like you can make the best decisions for your life. So I want you to know, I don't like it when you leave. I won't like it if you do leave. But I understand where you're at. And then turn around and go sit down. So you make a very empathetic, a very connected statement, very heartfelt, and then you vacate the premises. Go sit down. Remove the threat. So you are expressing to your child your desire, but you're also expressing to them your understanding and the fact that they are older now and can make choices. They can make wise choices. I say that, tongue in cheek. But they're beginning to make choices, and you want to trust that, and you want to give that to them, because you can't keep trying to overpower them and control them. And you know what? They may go out the door, and they may not. But I can guarantee you one thing that's going to happen. If you do that, and they decide to go out the door, in the back of their mind is going to be the lingering feeling of having let you down. And that is going to create more regulation for them than anything else you could do. Just having that lingering feeling that they let you down and that they eventually got to come back home is going to set up a dynamic that ultimately they want to avoid. So they may come home earlier. And if they don't, so this is number 4 because that was 3. If they don't, when they finally do come home, I want you to celebrate. I want you to be so happy they're home. This made all the difference for a family I worked with in Australia. A little girl would run away. She's like 12. She'd run away. I had them celebrate when she came back home. It just blew her mind. Blew her mind. Celebrate. Be so happy. Give hugs. Throw a little celebration. Make it a good thing. And that's it. So I want you to ask yourself what your child is running away from. What's so bad in the home that he's running away from? Number 2, what are the 10 things that you can do to start creating more love, acceptance, and understanding in your own home? So what your child feels and what they're anchored to is much stronger than what they're going out in the outer world outside the home. Number 3, saying to them that you really don't want them to leave. You really would like for them to stay. You love them, but you understand that they're 16 years old and they can make decisions for themselves. And you hope they make the best decision, but more than anything, you hope they take care of themselves and you love them again and you turn around and leave. And then number 4, if they finally do leave, when they come back, celebrate. It's all about creating love. That's all it is. It's all about love and relationship. In any 2 situations, we can continue to react from our same imprints of stress and overwhelm, fear, or we can stop. We can take 3 to 10 deep breaths. We can slow down and we can choose love. God bless each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic night of rest tonight. I look so forward to seeing you tomorrow and feeling you tomorrow and knowing that you are out in the world feeling revised, re-energized, re-inspired, and renewed. I pray for you that when you lay down, the cells of your body release all the stress of the generations, all the stress, the concern, the worry that you're carrying, and that you wake up tomorrow renewed and restored and ready to take on a new day. Big Papa loves you. We'll see you tomorrow.